I was happening, y'all. It's your boy Rico from Street Scores coming with a training camp edition Rico report. I'm currently working on a stock up and stock down training camp review. Hopefully I'm gonna get that done by this evening. Just been very busy, so I'm working on that. But for now, this is just a breakdown of everything going on around the Washington football team and the NFC East. We're going to talk about how Rivera is happy with the Washington football team vaccination rate. I'm going to give y'all an updated injury report on the entire team. We got to talk about this giant mess in the NFC East and much more randomness coming at the end of the report. Just a whole bunch of just randomness. But before we get to all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Also, make sure you check out the rest of the channel. I have all of my videos organized in playlists. I even have a comedy playlist for all of my funny videos. So again, make sure you check out the rest of the channel. Make sure you subscribe and you got to hit that bell next to the subscription button. And without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, like I said, I don't really like to talk about the whole COVID-19 situation and vaccines. I'm not trying to encourage anybody to get it. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from getting it. I'm just bringing y'all the facts. It deals with the Washington football team, so I gotta bring it up. First of all, remember that panic that happened on Sunday with Daron Payne going to the COVID-19 list. Apparently, he doesn't have COVID. He's just on it from contact tracing. Now, we don't know exactly who's vaccinated or not along the defensive line, but it has been reported that most of them aren't, especially out of the starters. And with contact tracing rules, if you're unvaccinated, you have to isolate way longer than a vaccinated player would if you come in contact with somebody that has COVID, even if you don't have COVID, even if you don't test positive. Just from being in close enough and consistent enough contact with the person that did, you have to sit out for a while. So we'll see how long Daron Payne has to sit out with being on the COVID-19 list. This is Rico from the future. As I was editing this video, the Washington football team just tweeted out that Matt Ioannidis and cornerback Chris Miller have now been activated off of the reserve COVID-19 list. So now we finally have Matt Ioannidis back. Let's go. Great news, man. Getting everything under control, man. This is huge. But in good news, as far as football goes, again, I'm not trying to persuade anybody to get vaccinated or not to, but as far as the team being able to actually play on Sundays and be available even just for these training camp practices, the Washington football team now has 84% of its players at least partially vaccinated. At least they have the first shot. And that's crazy because we were just at 60% last week. We were below 50% before training camp even started. And we are now already at 84%. And the NFL itself as a whole is at 90%. Us and the Colts have just basically been bringing down the overall vaccination rate of the NFL. But now that we're all starting to catch up, I believe the Colts are above 70% now. Again, we're at 84%. The entire NFL is over the 90% threshold. Their goal is 85%. So I'm pretty sure Roger Goodell and the NFL guys, all of the top guys, the owners, are happy that we're 90% because we're less likely to end up having to cancel games and everybody's not going to have to lose money and all of that type of stuff. Because again, I mean, whether you're for or against vaccinations, it doesn't matter at this point in the NFL. The NFL has set the rules. You get vaccinated or you basically just don't play, or you're at a heavy risk of not playing for a long time and costing people money. So at this point, having more vaccinated players means we're more likely to capitalize on this great team that we've built and actually go out there and win games rather than having to forfeit them before we even step onto the field. But Ron Rivera also went on to say that vaccination status will not play a part in who makes a team or not. And I'm shocked by that because, I mean, granted, of course, starters, like, you're not going to get rid of a Chase Young because he's not vaccinated. That's just an example. I don't know whether he is or not. But just somebody with star power, that's not going to affect their job. But the guys, you know, from that 54 through 90, if they're similar in production and talent, you would think that the guy that's vaccinated is far more likely to make the roster than the guy that's not. But apparently Ron Rivera said that he knows that they'll have unvaccinated players on the team and he just hopes that they follow protocols. And he even said regarding the bottom of the roster, they'll just keep the best players. So he said that's not going to factor in. We'll see if he actually follows through with that. I'm pretty sure it's going to matter at least somewhat. There's no way if people are very close, even if one guy is slightly better, if he's not vaccinated, that they're not going to go with the vaccinated player. I just can't see it. I mean, you don't even want to risk one of your guys coming off the bench, one of your rotational players being the reason that a starter has to miss games because he's the one that gave the starter COVID. You know what I'm saying? I don't actually see him practicing what he preaches there, but at least if he acknowledged it out loud, at least we know he's not going to be as bad as other teams will. Because I'm pretty sure some teams are just cutting players off the rip if they're not vaccinated. They're like, no, we got to get our vaccination rates up. And with you not being vaccinated, you got to go first week of training camp type of thing. So at least Rivera and them aren't that serious about it. But I don't think anybody in the league is just literally going to ignore whether a player is vaccinated or not. I just highly doubt it. It's too much on the table as far as missing games, losing games, missing out on money. Moving on, time for the injury update for the team. First of all, Jonathan Allen is day-to-day with a hamstring injury. Nothing serious, but it is interesting that Daron Payne, Matt Ioannidis are both out due to COVID-19, whether tracing or they have it. However, they're on the COVID-19 reserve list. And then Jonathan Allen is day-to-day with a hamstring injury. So right now, we just got David Bada and Tim Settle out there starting, which isn't bad because they're getting meaningful snaps, and we'll see if they truly deserve to like be on this team. Like, especially like a Tim Settle, we always say he's good enough to start on other defensive lines. Well, now it's time to go out there and really prove it in training camp, playing with the ones against the ones. Also, Sammis Reyes tweaked his knee a little bit. He was able to walk off. I think he'll be straight. It seems like he'll be straight. Doctors are going to take a closer look at it to let us know if it's severe or not. Seems like it isn't, but we'll get confirmation later on, hopefully by tomorrow. And then also Kyle Allen remains day-to-day with his injury, and James Smith-Williams got a slight lower leg injury, but he also seems to be day-to-day as well. But yeah, Sammis Reyes took like a wrong step during individual periods. It wasn't even like a contact injury. He was grabbing his right leg and everything, but hopefully he'll be straight. I mean, he looked normal walking, but you know, we got to see what the doctors say. And then Cornelius Lucas was activated from the COVID-19 reserve list. So Cornelius Lucas is finally back out there practicing. He hasn't practiced at all since training camp has started, so that's interesting. Also, Deshazor Everett passed his physical and is back on the active roster. He was on the non-football illness list. Now he's straight to go. And then a Curtis Samuel update. Rivera said that he's not concerned about Curtis Samuel, mainly with him having to get up to speed in Scott Turner's offense and gaining chemistry with the quarterbacks and things like that. Rivera basically feels like he's already played under Scott Turner. He's already played under me. He should be straight whenever he returns. We're not going to force the issue and bring him back sooner than we need to so that he can learn the playbook and things like that, because he should already mostly know it, and he already has experience playing in it on the field on Sundays in meaningful games. So all in all, Rivera is going to err on the side of caution with Curtis Samuel. When he comes back, you'll know that he's 100%. You don't even have to worry about even possibly being 99, because Rivera and company are comfortable with Curtis Samuel's ability to pick up the offense because he already has experience in it. Moving on, there's a giant, and I mean literally giant mess in the NFC East. And it's not just the Giants too. We got to talk about the Eagles and Cowboys as well. You already know us. We've been facing COVID-19 problems. The Cardinals are the only team in the NFL that have more players on the COVID-19 reserve list than us. And again, thank goodness Cornelius Lucas just came off of it. But today, the Giants, boy, it was chaos. There was a brawl at Giants practice today. Jaron Williams hit Corey Clement really hard. Evan Ingram shoved Williams to the ground. Logan Ryan came running over. Then just an entire brawl ensued. I mean, helmets were off. People were like legitimately fighting. But the part that made head coach Joe Judge really upset, like the most upset anybody's ever seen him, like Giants reporters are saying this is the angriest he's ever been since he's been there, was the fact that Daniel Jones was at the bottom of the pile. Like, people were just trampling over him, running over him, tripping over him, trying to fight each other. Didn't even notice he was down there. And that's bad for several reasons. First of all, because Daniel Jones can get hurt. And then also, like, what does that say about the team? Do they not respect Daniel Jones? Because, like, imagine if that were Tom Brady. Tom Brady would never end up at the bottom of a pile like that. Ever. Players would subconsciously be like, all right, Tom Brady's over there. Let's take this fight over here or something. I just could never imagine Tom Brady at the bottom of a pile. And that's not necessarily Daniel Jones' fault. It's just, that does say a lot about what the team feels like as far as discipline with Joe Judge. You know, he was hired as this disciplinarian coming from the Patriots, bringing the Patriots way and being a special teams coordinator. You know, people feel like special teams coordinators are like usually the most disciplined, hard-nosed head coaches. And if that's Joe Judge's calling, that's his ace in the hole. It doesn't seem to be working, and he's not known as a strategist. So I don't know what the Giants are about to do. It's very dysfunctional over there. And then Joe Judge was not playing with them. He had them doing 100-yard runs back to back to back. And then even after that, he had them doing push-ups for forever. And then the whole practice, it was just dead silence. Other than Joe Judge's whistle and him just cussing everybody out, everybody else was just dead silent. Very awkward practice. And then even on top of that, Golladay is experiencing some hamstring issues. His past injuries are catching up to him, and he just can't seem to be fully healthy even for the Giants right now, which is what a lot of us assumed when they signed him. Adoree Jackson and Kenny Golladay are injury-prone players, and I feel sorry for the Giants because they're getting their hopes up and expecting greatness out of them, but first we got to see them even be able to go out there on Sundays and play. Golladay already has a grade 1 hamstring issue, which is going to keep him out for 2 to 3 weeks on a new team where he's having to learn a new offense, having to gain chemistry with a new quarterback, gain rapport with a new offensive coordinator. I mean, the offensive coordinator has to learn how to use them. I mean, at this point, their best way of learning how to use Kenny Golladay would be to go back and look at Plaxico Burress film, because he's not even available for them to learn how to use them in training camp right now. They're not even able to get reps with them. And even before his nagging injury creeped back up on him, he was struggling with drops during training camp. He made a couple of really tough catches, but he's also had some really easy drops so far in training camp for the Giants. And then on top of that, the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. They said that he's taken a step back in his shoulder strain. He was working his way back, and we already know last season he had a season-ending injury in his leg, but now he has this shoulder strain problem that he's dealing with, and he was progressing, he was getting back better and better, and then now he just re-aggravated it, took a step back, and so now they're not even exactly sure when he's going to be ready to come back to practice. So week 1, Dak Prescott, may be very rusty out there, even more rusty than just every other NFL team normally is in a week 1. So the Cowboys may not have a hot start, because honestly, them without Dak Prescott is not a good team. Dak Prescott is easily probably 80% why some people feel like they may win the division. They have good weapons as well. I'm not entirely too sure about the offensive line, especially with them staying healthy. I wouldn't put my life savings on it. I hope no Cowboys fan would. So without Dak Prescott, that team is going to be ugly. I don't think Dan Quinn bringing Keanu Neal, both of them with a defense probably even statistically worse than what the Cowboys had last year, I don't think that's going to fix their defensive problems. So it's up to Dak Prescott to be healthy for this team to even matter this upcoming year. We'll see though. Again, I never wish injuries on anybody. I'm just giving y'all the update, and I just want to let people know to watch out, because these are some serious issues right now. Burgundy and gold with COVID. The Giants with chemistry and injury issues. The Cowboys with injury issues, a lot of them, offensive line and Dak Prescott. And then now the Eagles also, Devonta Smith, very talented player, electric, explosive, everything. But we were worried about his weight coming into the season. We were worried about how healthy he could actually be when he gets to the NFL level, because he could barely even stay healthy for Alabama last year. And now he's already expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks with a sprained MCL. And I wish the best for him, even though he's on a division rival, and I'm a Georgia fan and he played for Alabama. But I just hate seeing great talents go to waste due to injuries especially. But I don't know, man. He hasn't been able to string together healthy weeks in a row even since college. We'll see what he does at the NFL level, but man, it's looking ugly for him and the Eagles in general. And then on top of that, Ryan Kerrigan injured his right hand. So, I mean, it's just a lot going on right now. I'm not going to lie. In the NFC East, it is chaos and turmoil right now. Honestly, with us getting our vaccination rate up and players starting to come off of the COVID-19 list, I think we have the least amount of issues in the division right now. I would definitely say the Giants or the Cowboys have the most. And then the Eagles are just the worst team on paper. And then they also have issues on top of that, so we'll see. Because their O-line last year couldn't stay healthy as well. It's ugly. We may end up winning this division by default just by being the healthiest and deepest team as far as the bench goes, and being the most disciplined with COVID like we were last year. And we were literally the most disciplined team. We were the best at avoiding COVID-19 spreads out of the entire NFL last year. And now that our vaccination rate is getting up there with the other teams in the NFL, I'm expecting us, if anybody, to miss the least amount of games due to forfeit out of the entire NFL, especially the NFC East. Now on to random news. Speaking of Ryan Kerrigan, I'm not sure if people have noticed, but people have been pointing out that Jonathan Allen is the first round draft pick to get a second contract with the Washington football team since Ryan Kerrigan in 2011. That is terrible, but it's nice to know that we're finally turning the page and bringing in a new era where we actually sign our first round picks to second contracts, and good ones too. Also, the Washington football team waived Ross Reynolds. We literally just claimed him 3 days ago, and he was waived yesterday. He only made it 2 days. We were starting to look like the Washington Dolphins with Ryan Fitzpatrick, Bobby McCain, and Eric Flowers already over here. Then we brought in Ross Reynolds, but he only lasted 2 days. Also, Maurice Jones-Drew, somebody that knows a thing or two about how to play running back in the NFL, he said, quote, "Gibson has the goods to become one of the top running backs in the NFC. He has great speed, vision, and there's a lot of Christian McCaffrey in him as a receiving threat. I expect Gibson to take off in the passing game this season." And I agree. If one of the greatest to do it says it, then you gotta believe it. Us in Breaking and Go Nation already knew that, but to hear outside sources say it, especially people that really know the sport of football and specifically know the craft of being a great running back, all of the nuances and things like that, oh yeah, Antonio Gibson is about to blow up. Also, Logan Thomas's cap numbers have come out officially. He will be a $4.135 million cap hit this season. He'll be a $6.5 million cap hit in 2022, an $8.7 million cap hit in 2023, and an $8.3 million cap hit in 2024. And with him being a top 7 tight end already, with him potentially becoming a top 5, I mean, the way he looks in training camp, I mean, just to foreshadow a little bit of my stock up, Logan Thomas is definitely one of the biggest stock ups in my stock up, stock down video I'm gonna try to get out this evening. And the fact that he's making that type of money all the way through 2024, we're gonna potentially have a top 7, top 5 tight end, a very team friendly deal. That's a big come up for us. We're finally signing players long term to smart money, and that's just what comes with culture. Players will prefer to be with a team that they feel like they can win with, where the culture is great. They feel like they have an honest opportunity to make a name for themselves and get a championship ring and take a little less money than to go play for a team where there's none of that I just gave you, but they can get paid more. That's where this culture comes in. That's where Ron Rivera matters. Even if you don't like his coaching, even if you don't like his late game decision making as a coach with timeouts and reviews and things like that, and going for 2 and all of that type of stuff, at the very least, the culture that he's bringing here is going to make our team immensely better than it's been for the past 30 years, especially like over time, because we'll just have a random flash in the pan. But now Rivera will actually be consistent. We'll have some continuity. We'll always be involved in the playoff contention conversation and hopefully the Super Bowl contention soon. Also, hey man, this news kind of scared me. I mean, it's good right now, but it could eventually be bad. Our DB's coach, Chris Harris, had a number of opportunities for interviews this offseason, so we may lose him to a defensive coordinator job somewhere else in the NFL. He is a great coach. The team loves him. I mean, you see him out there. He's one of the most passionate coaches out there. When the DBs do anything, he is jumping up and down, running on the field as if he's the one that made the play. And the fact that he's getting interviews from other teams show it's not just his passion, but he's also a very smart and nuanced coach as well. And teams see him as a potential great defensive coordinator in the future. I hope we can hold on to him as long as possible. Even the fact that he stayed with us this year, even though he already had interviews lined up to go somewhere else this year, is also a great sign of Ron Rivera's culture. Chris Harris prefers to be a DB's coach here than a defensive coordinator in other places. That's great to hear. Now, granted, that may not last long. Somebody's going to eventually offer him a big bag, and it's going to be another team that probably has a good culture, and he may just go ahead and move on over there, spread his wings out, take on more responsibility, have a larger role in a team's success. But as of right now, this year, he preferred to be a defensive backs coach for this team rather than be the defensive coordinator or the defensive backs coach or whatever on other teams. I love to hear that. Ron Rivera's culture matters. Also, very random news. I'm not sure if y'all have seen, but Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson both sustained the same leg injury. They're both estimated to be out 5 to 12 weeks. And with all of these guards we have and all of these quarterbacks we kind of have, may be able to package them together to get some great value from the Colts. You know what I'm saying? They're over there starving. So we may be able to get more from them draft pick wise or player wise now than we normally would be able to. So something to keep track of. And then lastly, Bleacher Report ranked the Washington football team as the 4th most improved team in the NFL this offseason. They said Washington's defense could be the league's best unit this year, and with a more potent offense, the football team could be poised to repeat as NFC East champs. And I agree. 4th, I'm honestly surprised by 4th. I think we're top 3, and you can make an argument for number 1. The Chiefs are definitely up there with the way they got their offensive line together. Oh my lord, that was a huge transformation. The Browns, the Patriots, there's a lot of teams that went out there and made some serious moves, whether it be through the draft, free agency, or both. But I definitely feel like I'll take 4th, because I love the fact that people are taking notice, but I think we're number 3 and you can make a case for number 1. But that's the end of this video. Please like this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. I'm pretty sure you learned something, so you're legally binded to leave a like on the way out before you leave this video. Also, make sure you get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. And of course, please subscribe and make sure you hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get more videos just like this one, and you'll get a notification immediately if you have that bell clicked in. And of course, man, I really appreciate all of the support, man. I'm still working out the kinks on all of my software, my new equipment, my new mic. I'm trying to figure everything out. I have some more stuff coming soon that's hopefully gonna make the stream quality better. Even like just the mic, we gotta get the mic better. It sounds better overall, but I'm just trying to get it super podcast level crisp. So again, I appreciate all of the donations. All of it is literally going right back into the stream. I'm not playing. I told y'all I'm not just buying chips and food with y'all money. It's literally going back to the stream. New PC, new mic, new everything, new cords. I'm putting all of the money y'all are donating right back into the quality of the videos in the stream. I'm not playing. And also big shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, names you see scrolling on the screen right now. Again, I really appreciate all of y'all, man. The money is going to a great cause. I'm not just spending it on stupid stuff, on frivolous things, I promise. But I'm gonna catch y'all later. Hopefully I can get that other video out this evening. I'm out.